Hey guys, I've been kind of down in the trough the past few days, but I'm feeling pretty good today, and I wanted to come on here and just make something, create something. Um, Thanks to all you guys who've kind of been sending me messages and keep me going along the past few days. I've been going through some stuff. But that's why I wanted to make this video was because, yeah, we all go through stuff. Um, and what helps me to get out of those holes is my vision. And so that's what I want to talk about today. I feel like having a vision to pull me forward is one of the core foundations of my philosophy, and it's something that I stumbled upon. So I wanted to share it with you. And so in my former life, I was in the military for 20 years, and so I never had to come up with a vision of my own. All I had to do was put on the uniform and show up, and then when I got orders, I moved to the place. When I was told to do something, I did it. When I was given the opportunities to do stuff, I did those things too. And so it was never something where I had to put any thought into the future. It was purely reactive. Um, and so in 2019, when I was going through PTSD treatment, and I was getting ready to retire, I was kind of at this existential crisis point in my life where I didn't know what I was going to do. I knew I didn't want to do anything. Like, I was burnt the fuck out. That was my life. And so I was at the end of my rope, and I was at the situation where I wasn't going to make enough money to support myself. And so I had to find some way to engage myself in order to make money. That's the rat race. And then, the universe did what the universe does, and I ended up in Mexico on vacation with my dad. And I looked around and said I could stay here. I was going through a divorce at the time already. I was separated from my wife, and it just made more sense for what I wanted to stay here than it did to go back to Omaha, Nebraska. So, what that's done for me is it's given me a chance to rest finally. For my whole life, I've been stressed out. And so I've kind of been deprogramming from that stress. And as I have all these new possibilities around me because I'm living like this fairy tale life and seeing things from perspectives that I had never seen things from before. And what that does is it opens up more possibilities. It allows me to kind of create my vision for the future. And my vision for the future has kind of always just been limited to I want to get done with the rat race as fast as possible. When I joined the Air Force, it was because I knew that I could go and do it. I didn't know what I wanted to do with my life. And I could go and do that while I figured out what I wanted to do with my life. And if I never did, at the end of 20 years, that's a paycheck for the rest of my life. So it was a way for me to get out of the rat race faster in the long term. And that was it. That was the reason I joined. I forgot about that until I got to Mexico. So all of a sudden, I'm sitting here at 41 years old, and like, I'm done with the rat race. I'm ready to start a new chapter. And so that's forced me to kind of look at myself and see, okay, like what's my ideal life look like? And I'm formulating it in my head, and it's wild, and it's these crazy ideas, and it's these, really, really huge targets that I want to hit in my life. But at the top of that is being my best self and using my journey to motivate and inspire others to be their best selves. And it's not about me teaching or me guiding or doing anything like that. Like, my vision is to help people find their own path, not my path. Um, and so I have this vision in my mind, right? And this is what motivates me. This is why I'm making this video, right? It's part of my vision. Um, and so when I'm down in these holes, what having that vision does is emotionally, when I'm down in the hole, rationally, I still know that vision's there. And rationally, I still know that this is all just part of the experience for me to manifest my vision. If that's what I want, that's what's coming. But I'm going to have to go through all the steps between the starting point, which is always right here and now, and the destination, which is my vision. So having that vision always there in my awareness, what it does is every time there's an opportunity presented to me by the universe, I'm looking at that opportunity to see how it plays into my vision and how it progresses and how it changes my vision if I take it. And so my vision is always adjusting. It's never the same. I have all these kind of like little ideas and parts of it, and all these things that I would like to accomplish that are possibilities, but it's not a plan. As if my whole life changes tomorrow and there's an opportunity put in front of me that could possibly change my whole vision and change my whole destiny, then I'm going to take that opportunity. And my vision is still, the end state of my vision is still going to be the same. It's still going to be to help people, and it's still going to be to be the best person I can and to make a difference in the world. So, like, even in these holes, I know it's part of that vision. And I know that my vision is coming because just like having a vision, it's important to remember where we came from. And so, like, philosophers talk about suffering a lot because that's where we spend a lot of our time is analyzing our past suffering to see the lessons in it, to pull the lessons out, and then use our weaknesses as strengths. And that's alchemy. But what it requires is it requires enough time to sit and look at our path or our past and play with it and see what those lessons are, right? Because a lot of time we're so focused running the rat race, we don't have time to sit and ponder. We don't have time to sit and philosophize. We're just like, go, go, go. We got shit to do. And that's the illness of the system in which we live. But when we do get back into that stuff, when we do start being able to look at it and be comfortable with it and kind of start fighting our own demons, we see how those demons can be strength in our own lives. And then the other part of that is, man, I was just less than 3 years ago, I was suicidal. I had no idea what was going to happen in my life. I was an existential mess. Like, I was on so much medication. I needed a service dog just to leave the house. I was that guy, man. I was that guy that you walked around in the supermarket because he's just like all fucked up. And so I carry that very close to my chest, very, very close to me. I spend time every day in my wanders. I go back into my past and I look at it and try and understand it better. And what that does, being so close to my past suffering, it creates gratitude for the present. And what it does is if I know where I came from and I know where I'm going, then I have the map already there. I have the encouragement. If I went through all those things in the past and I'm sitting here today and I can go out and be in crowds and I can, get in front of you and talk to you without being a fucking nervous wreck, then that shows me all those little things. As long as I keep comparing myself to myself, my present self to my past self, I get to see every day how far I've come, and I get to see where I'm going. So it's like if you're on a boat and you put an anchor at the beginning and an anchor at the end and tie a rope to it. As long as you have the anchor in your past, that's where you came from, and you have the anchor in your future, that's your vision, all you got to do is pull yourself along that rope. And when you see another opportunity to pull yourself forward, you pull yourself forward towards that vision. And what it does is, instead of being in a space where the world is always out to get us and we're victims of the world, all of a sudden we're not looking for injustice in our own lives anymore. We're not focusing on that. We're focusing on, okay, fuck that thing that happened. How is this an opportunity for me to get ahead? Can I use this bad thing that happened as a springboard to push myself forward? Can I use this rock bottom moment as a place from which to launch myself into the stratosphere. And so if we have those two anchor points, then the route takes care of itself. All we have to do is stay aware and be open to the opportunities as the universe presents them that get us closer to our vision. And if we don't have either of those points to navigate from, we're just spinning in circles. Because I know that because I had to have my external compass of the Air Force guide me for 20 years and keep my nose clean for those 20 years. So without that, I would have just been spinning in a circle because I had no clue where I came from and I had no clue where I was going. So now that I have those two anchor points in my life, every day is very clear to me. Every interaction is very clear to me whether, okay, does this new person in my life get me closer to my vision or take me further away from my vision? Are they helping me to reinforce my center, or are they pulling me off my center into some other thing that doesn't help me at all? So it's helped me to manage my time a lot better and who I give my time to, and recognizing, okay, is this person here to take from me, or is this person here to walk along the journey with me? And are they going towards my vision or not? Because in relationships, vision is the most important thing. Having a shared vision, or having two different visions of what the future looks like, is a recipe for separation. It's a recipe to split up, because eventually along the journey you're going to hit that point where you want to start manifesting your vision, and your partner wants to start manifesting their vision. And what if your vision is to travel and see the world and explore and adventure, and your partner's vision is to have a nice quiet life, on a farm somewhere? And then how do you reconcile that? Because what if the one person is afraid to travel? But what if the one person really needs to travel? And so sometimes, like, if you just know your vision up front when you get into a relationship with someone, like, that can be the focus of the relationship. And if that's the focus of the relationship, then it's Trinity. Then it's two people working towards the same goal. And so when two people are working towards the same goal, it manifests like they don't just, it's not like 200%. When you get two people working towards the same goal, it multiplies. So knowing the vision is an anchor point for a relationship too, because that's the sad thing, is sometimes, like in my last relationship with my ex-wife, what ended up separating us was we got married when we were very young, and what ended up separating us was exactly what I just said. I had this need to go out and explore and venture and be free and live a little dangerously and experience life, like really experience life by learning and experiencing different cultures and the whole world. So I have all these bucket list items that require travel. Some require scuba diving, and that's the stuff that gets my heart beating. That's the stuff that pulls me forward. So that's exactly what I'm talking about. But what it came down to with my ex-wife is that she wanted a professional life, and I was done with the professional life of living in the suburbs and having two car payments and feeling like I'm bogged down and using my hobbies to escape from it, because I was an obsessed hunter, and that was the only place that I could find my peace. And so it became an addiction for me. And it's just because I couldn't, that's the only way I could scratch my itch for my vision of freedom and autonomy and going back to a more natural state. That wasn't the future that she wanted. And so for us, it came, I didn't know it at the time because I wasn't aware of it. But now that I look back on it, I realize that was the big source of my suffering, is that I wanted to live a life that she was incapable of living. And I think if I'm like that, if I was in that situation where I wasn't aware of it and I wasn't paying attention to that stuff and I got myself stuck, then there's probably other people out there who are in the same situation. And they just don't understand it. They don't understand why they can't reconnect with their spouse. They don't understand why they're miserable. They don't understand like why they can't get out of the hole. And I'm saying that an easy tool to use is having a vision. And once you have a vision, your whole life will straighten itself out. It'll become apparent if your significant other is on board with that vision or not. It'll become apparent if they become a source of motivation for you to reach your vision, or if they become a hindrance in your vision, if they roll their eyes every time you talk about it and they don't believe in you. And then that becomes another point in the relationship. Like all these things we have to assess all the time, because here's the problem is people change all the time. People are changing all the time. You never know when you meet someone if what you're meeting is a trauma response, if it's an act, or if it's that real person and they actually know themselves. And so because of that, like because we don't know ourselves and we go and we say I do and we get stuck in these marriages, after a while we realize like we're just going through the motions because we're trying to pay the bills, we're trying to, we're trying to keep gas in the car, we're trying to keep the kids going to whatever practices they're going to. Like we're so busy living the game that we forget about our vision and we forget about where we're going. And so if we forget about where we're going, then we just keep spinning in the same circles and in the same patterns. And that's what getting in a rut is. It's forgetting where we're going and it's getting stuck on a side quest. And so getting back to that vision, getting back to that primal, those primal desires, those ones that we had as childhood, is absolutely imperative. Absolutely imperative, because so many people have no clue where they're going in life. And they get into a habit, they get into a pattern, and they just spend their whole lives just revolving in that pattern. And then before they know it, they're retired and that's it. They're done, and that's not what life is supposed to be. Life is supposed to be daydreaming, realizing what we want as individuals out of our lives, and then finding the right people and creating that life around us. And it takes time. We got to be patient with vision. Some parts of my vision might never manifest, and that's okay, because anything between here and there is a step in the right direction. And that's all I'm doing, is one step at a time, one day at a time, one step at a time. If I can be in alignment with my vision today, no matter whether I do anything towards it or not, but if I can be in my alignment with my vision of being a good person and helping other people and doing the best that I know how to do and not letting myself get in the way, then I'm one step closer to achieving my vision by the very nature of just not getting in the way of it. And most of us, we don't have to do anything to achieve our vision except stop getting in the way. Like the more I try and control things in my life, the more I insert myself, the more fucked up they get and the more drawn off path I get. So what I've learned in my life is to accept the opportunities as the universe provides them, and to look at those opportunities and say, okay, is this good for me or is this bad for me? Does it get me closer to my vision or further away from, where I started? Or does it put me back? Does it get me closer to where I started and further away from my vision? And that's the only decision I have to make. And if the answer is this helps me, this is good, then that's an intuitive decision. If the answer is that's bad, then that's also an intuitive decision that I'm not going to do that thing. So it's all about that, where you are on your journey, and always keeping that in focus. Whenever we're driving around on our journey and we feel like we're lost, we can always go back to where we started from and where we're going, and we can recalibrate our map and figure it out again. Simplify and get back on course. And that's what it's about. We just get too overwhelmed because we lose track of the simplicity of everything. There's one car, and that's you. And it's going from where you came from to where you're going. Your only job is to know where you're going so that you can keep heading in that direction, even when the times are shitty, especially when the times are shitty. Because it's really easy to get down on ourselves and be like, "Oh man, I suck. Nothing I'm doing is good." Like all that negative self-programming comes back into the picture. And when it does, it's like, "Fuck. Like this shit is hard, right? It's hard to see outside of anything else when we're stuck in that hole." So, for me, the tools I use to get out of the hole when I get stuck are where I'm coming from and where I'm going. Knowing my past and knowing my future. And if I can keep track of those two things and be grateful for where I am on my journey, not grateful for how I'm feeling right now, but grateful for where I am on that journey and how far I've come, and be excited about where I'm going. And man, all I got to do is spend some time focusing on that, and I'm good. I'm back out of my hole. So that's just my little tip for the day is if you don't know where you're going, it feels like you're not going anywhere. Love you all. Hope you have a great day.